Hey everyone, welcome to Small Business Strong. I'm John Lane, your host, and today I'm going to be sharing a little bit about my story with you. I realize that it's probably a good idea to know the interviewer and hear a little bit about my story, and I'm really excited to share that with you. So, my story starts really in 2021. My wife and I bought our first house in Dallas, Texas, and we chose to remodel it. It was a 1955 starter home, and it was all we could afford. It was 2021. If you remember, the real estate market was insane. The interest rates were around 3 to 3.25. We secured ours at 3.25, and we were able to buy our first house. And so it was 1,000 square foot wood floor, um, just largely untouched house. And so we lived in it for 3 years total, but probably about a year until we really wanted to start remodeling it. So we ended up doing everything. We did the kitchen, the bathroom. It was a 3 bedroom, 1 bath. We did the kitchen and bathroom. We skim coated all the walls flat, painted everything new trim. I thought about doing the floors, but did not do that. Yeah, really did most of the things that you would want to see in a remodel. At the time, I was a prosthetic technician and I would work, Monday through Friday, and I'd come home and I'd do nights and weekends. So we'd work nights and weekends straight doing the remodel, and we did that for about a year and a half, probably close to 2 years. And then my wife looked at me one night and she said, "You need to start doing this for other people." The seed was planted, but I continued to work my job. I went back to school, in fact, to become a prosthetic assistant, and that would allow me to earn more and support our family. And it just did not go like I expected. I went back to school, it was super weird, and then ended up not getting a raise at my current job. Started looking elsewhere for work and ended up moving on. All the while, that thought of my wife telling me that you need to do this for other people was in the back of my mind. So I got a job with a buddy doing property inspections. Since when the lease was up for a rental, after the tenant moved out, I'd go in, do an inspection, and I'd give each line item, I would attach a price to that. And so then I would have the contractor come in, do all the work to the scope that I had set. I'd do a post inspection after he was done, and I got to see how much the project cost, how long it took. And man, I started looking at those numbers, and I saw the quality because I did a post inspection, and I just said, "Hey, I can charge the exact same and I can do better quality here. I just feel like I could do a better job." And so it might take me longer at first, but I thought I could do it. So my wife and I had already planned on me starting a handyman company. My why for that was I loved seeing my dreams and our dreams come true, and I wanted to make other people's dreams come true. I had ran a lawn business in high school and college, and started when I was 15, just passing out lawn care flyers, and really enjoyed working by myself. My brother would help me. We'd mow yards together in Dallas and Richardson, and just enjoyed the freedom that that gave me. It was flexible. I show up in my own truck with my own equipment, take care of business, and get a check underneath the mat when I was done. That's how we worked. So remembering that 10 years prior, I had that. I just didn't think me starting another small business could provide for my family. I was anxious and I didn't know if I could do it. So I started doing nights and weekends. I was working full time. We just about finished remodeling our house, and I started doing nights and weekends handyman work. I worked off of an app called Angie. I would put together, a king size bed frame and make $15. It'd take me an hour. Assembled a lot of furniture. Hung a TV on there, I think once maybe. A lot of TVs, a lot of assembling furniture. And I mean, TVs are $50. Furniture is anywhere from $15 to $40. And each client I met, I gave a business card to. And say, "Hey, I'm a handyman. I do this on the side." And from there, just learning skills. I watched a lot of YouTube videos through that time, learning skills. I learned a lot about drywall. I had met a drywall guy In our old house, he helped us skim coat and float the walls out. His name's Felipe, and he is just a master at his craft. So I would have him come help me with some stuff, and I'd just sit there and watch him, learn from him. And then the day came. The day came where I was going to be laid off. And my wife really just pushing me, hey, you need to start this business because you have what it takes. And again, I was skeptical the entire time. I was not sure I could do it. I did not believe in myself. I would have rather just got a check every week or every other week, and I would have rather have that stability because that's how I'm wired. But I saw an opportunity. The last few jobs I'd been at, I increasingly grew frustrated at this same scenario that would happen. I'd be doing my work, my scope throughout the day. I'd be doing it and I would come across something that just doesn't make sense in my workflow. Hey, why isn't this more efficient? Why isn't this done better? Why do I have to cross these hurdles to do my job? I would always bring that to my employer, my boss, the manager. In some cases, it was the employer, but I'd always bring that up the chain of command, and constantly I felt them, pat me on the head and say, "Hey, go back over there in your corner and make your $30,000 a year." I grew frustrated by that because I felt that what I was doing had a value, felt like me bringing those things to the table would help the company grow, would help me grow, and would make my job easier and more efficient. And grew so frustrated with that I just wanted to do my own thing. That was the only small part of it that was okay with me starting my own business. Everything else I was terrified of. And so again, let's go back. We were in the situation with being laid off. I was doing nights and weekends, handyman. So we decided to put a date on it. And we set a date for me to go out on my own. So my wife put a post out on Facebook. She runs Facebook stuff. I don't do social media much, but she said, "Hey, John's starting full-time handyman work. Book him." Book him here. I told friends and family, and that's really all my business consisted of for the first, I'd say 3 months was friends and family. The first month was incredibly busy because I had put it out there, 2 months in advance that I was going to be doing this. So my schedule got booked for the first month or two. And so after that, I did see a bit of a lull. I mean, the month 3 was rough. I'd done all the work for friends, and then that was between getting my referrals. And so my handyman company is referral only. I don't think I've ever got anyone from Google or from marketing. I don't do any marketing. I love the referral system because it creates accountability. It's two-sided accountability. I'm recommended to them because I did work for someone, and they're recommended to me because I've done work for the person they know. So there's accountability both ways. And so I don't worry about not being paid, or I don't need to. Sometimes I do, but I don't need to worry about not getting paid. They don't need to worry about me taking half of their money. If it's a larger job, I do deposits. They don't have to worry about me taking half their deposit and not showing up the next day. So, um, I'd say month 3 was slow, and then after that, we started slowly picking up the pace. And so, at first, I was shooting for around 400 a day. So for something that would take me half day, it'd be $200, but I never charged by the hour, always charged by the job. And that's one thing that I constantly tell any aspiring handyman when they start is to charge by the job, never by the hour. You will always shoot yourself in the foot if you charge by the hour. So I was doing that, growing the business, getting my first real clients that weren't friends or family. And so through that, I got to learn a ton, made some mistakes. I'm sure that if I looked back at some of my handiwork during that time, I'm sure I would laugh a little bit and also just be grateful that I have come so far. Yeah, that was the first like 4 months or so. Really, every year I do see a trend of, and this isn't construction in general, many trades, but the end of February through really the summer. So March through, I'd say August is just insane. Maybe July It's great. March is continually my highest grossing month. And then, June and July are really good too. But as in construction, the winter's slow. So saving up money the first year, I didn't know that. So we didn't save any money the first winter, and it was rough. It was, around Christmas time, and we, not have what we needed. And so the next year we were able to save a little bit more and a little bit more. 2 years ago, my wife and I moved from that house that we were in, that we remodeled. We sold it, we flipped it, and did well on it. We moved out to Rockwall. And so I started listening to Handyman podcasts because when I'm driving, what else are you going to listen to? And so I wanted to learn how to start and grow my business. It was a huge asset for me to have something in my ear listening to that would grow my business while I'm working, while I'm driving. And I found a ton of value in that. And so couple years down the road, I guess, so this was 2 years ago, I've been listening to podcasts on starting businesses for the last 2 years. So after, growing the handyman business, that had been going really well, and so my wife, I was able to step away from work this last year, and for me just to have my handyman business as a sole means of income, and that's been amazing. It's been a huge blessing, and I'm so thankful for that. So now I want to provide value in these conversations that I have for other people. It's for me, it's giving back because the way my mind works is when I get bored with something, I want to jump into something else. And so um, I still, my handyman business is my core. Handiwork Home Solutions is as far as I have anything to do with it, it's going to be around for a long time. I love that Small Business Strong is growing. These conversations that I have with others, I used to have these conversations off camera. I take a business owner to breakfast and ask him questions about his business. Are you profitable? What was your revenue last year? How does faith influence how you do business? What are some challenges you had this year? Would you be able to step away from your business for a month at a time? Things like that are really interesting to me. I do not discriminate on the industry. Like I said, that's my goal for Small Business Strong, is that we would give back by providing information that is valuable to others and that would help them either start or buy a small business. That's what I got, I'm sure, hundreds of hours out of other people's podcasts, but I don't know of too many podcasts who will interview different industries and ask them similar, but also industry standard questions. And so that's where I see Small Business Strong going. That's the history of Handiwork Home Solutions, my business. I also have created a handiwork startup system. It is a full guide that walks you through how to start up a handyman business. I have a passion for doing that. In that, I talk about my two friends that I have. So, two friends, they're from different friend groups, both very good handymen. They started their own business the same time I did, and both of them within a year went out of business. So, out of the three of us, one of us made it, and I make it abundantly clear in that handiwork startup system why mine succeeded and why theirs failed. And honestly, they were better craftsmen, better handymen than me. I came from, they came from handyman backgrounds. They were both, one of them was in maintenance, the other one worked for one of the larger handyman companies in DFW. And I did not. I just been doing this by myself for nights and weekends and did a ton of research on how to start a handyman business. And so for me, it did work out. And I do not just owe that to myself. I owe it to God and my wife and a supportive family and a lot of people who invested in me. And so now I want to invest in others and help them start a handyman company if that's what they'd like to do. So again, that's my background. That's why I started Handiwork Home Solutions. That's why I started Small Business Strong. And I'm very, very excited to have conversations on camera that are going to benefit others. And so that's a little bit about me. I hope that hearing my story will encourage you to continue to listen to Small Business Strong. We're going to have a lot of fun guests on, a lot of really interesting industries on. We've done quite a bit of service industries, but I want to get into retail. I want to get into manufacturing. I want to get into everything. And so that's my hope and my vision for Small Business Strong. And so thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And I cannot wait to bring you more content and to make Small Business Strong more enjoyable for you.